Everybody, I am Sochi MLPZ, your host as usual. Recently, I've been watching obsessively the kickboxer movies and cyborg movies. It's all about Van Damme and all the kickboxers in 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then more recently, I'm not super excited about the new movie having 50 Cent. I know it seems like a great idea, and I probably would have thought that a couple of years ago if they had mentioned who might be in it. But now, nothing to do with age. I have other issues with that, which is strange. If you know anything about 50 Cent, you know he's a Kings fan, and being from Sacramento, California, I am always at the Kings games. You can see we got the Kings show here, the Kings Report, or the Royal Report here on the Bible Reel, talking about basketball and sometimes other sports, or more how the sports tie together, like how dancing helps basketball and basketball knowledge helps dancing and competition, etc. But so if you know anything about that, we see 50 Cent a lot. I don't know if he's still a Kings fan, but it seems like it. I think I saw him last year in the arena, or the center, I don't know what to call it. They have so many different names: Sports Center, arenas, concert halls, whatever they are, I don't know. But so over here, we see him quite often, and he's always promoting something. I think I've had some issues with 50 Cent in the past, so I'm not super excited he's in it, but not personal, like between me and him, obviously. I don't think we've ever met, but personally, what I think and how I feel about, what's put out there and your career and image and all of that stuff. Anyway, different point. So, anyway, I saw the poster for it at the movies today. It does look exciting though. Those video gamey movies, Mortal Kombat, The Craft, and all the other stuff. They're very like superpowery. It's like Superman and Bruce Lee met and made a baby or something. But I don't know. In the past, they haven't really caught my attention. I thought it was more for kids. But then again, I really liked the movie Dick Tracy with Al Pacino and Warren Beatty and Madonna. But that was made when I was a kid. I still like it though. So anyway, these these video game movies, maybe it's just that I don't play a lot of video games. And when I did, I wasn't doing those fighting games, though I do think that would have been fun for me when I was younger. I think that I just had I grew up with a lot of boys, and they were always doing the other kinds, like war games and, those long dragged out games where they're running for a long time. And they just played other like space stuff, other more complicated games than that. But we got into some of them, I guess. Anyway, the look of the movies really attract me. Sometimes it's a little too funny, too humorous, and but I will say I really like action movies, and I think it's because it helps me it's like an outlet for me. It helps me get out the aggression if it's real people. So I feel like if I'm like really connected to the character, that it lets it out, whatever my anger issues are for the week. I can just, I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but in these cartoony types, I kind of, it loses my attention. They're interesting to look at. I really, am into like the fashions of it and, the different outfits and the hair and stuff, but I feel like that's all cool. But as far as the fighting, if it's a little too super powery, I did see some of the trailers though, and this is a review on a movie I haven't seen yet, by the way. The trailer looks like, because this is some of the things that really attract you to a movie. You have to know what attracts people to a movie. And in this trailer, you have those really, crazy fight scenes. But then you have the two, I don't know if they're brothers or friends, they meet up in the hotel room and they start battling out in the hotel room, and it gets really rough. But it looks like they got superpowers, like Superman versus Batman. One is real and one's not, kind of a thing. And that fight was really interesting. It reminded me more of like when I was younger. They probably still make them, obviously, but I don't watch them as often as those movies where they're flying through the air and you're doing flips and it looks really sort of fake. Like obviously they have wires, but in this kind of had that feel, but it was a little bit better. The effects were better, obviously. And so I enjoyed that part of the trailer, but then everything else is like, what's happening? Not that there necessarily has to be a plot in this, but if you do those video games, they kind of have a plot, right? So I think that I might end up watching it. But why am I mentioning this if I haven't seen it yet? Because today I saw Devil Wears Prada 2. I did see the first one. It's been many, many years. I didn't watch it again before I watched the second one. I always would advise people to do that, but I don't always do it myself. It's very good. It didn't disappoint. Everything was like expected, I think. I haven't seen a lot of reviews that hated this movie, but I will say, at the end of the movie, I thought it was fantastic. The story was great. Everything was just as I expected the characters to end up to be. And it was very truth-telling about the industry and what's going on and what might be the future, but then also how we can hold it down and still keep some humanity. So it's all of that, just like the first one kind of did for us. Opened our eyes a little bit, but then, I put everything into perspective. But here's the thing. Kind of like sex scenes, some sex scenes, there's a lot of talk about whether or not they're necessary right now. And there's like people that are going through even, cancel culture threats over sex scenes and whether or not they were necessary. Why didn't you say anything about sexual harassment? What if this and what if that, But you know how that goes. I feel the same way about some of the guest appearances in movies where they do them for the purpose of making money or to surprise people. And oftentimes they're unnecessary. In this particular movie, I don't think they needed Lady Gaga. I think there's some point to make that she's become that kind of thing. But I will say this about it. Usually, it's my understanding, I watch a lot of fashion shows online. Obviously, I've never been to one. I'm not that famous, I'm not that rich. But usually, they may or may not have a musical guest. If they do, it's in the background. They don't usually have them going through the runway. Not usually. It's probably happened before, but not usually. And the shows that do that are like Victoria's Secret, right? So this is not a movie about bikini or lingerie runways. It's a movie about fashion runways. So I felt like that's something that would maybe never happen. I would never just say never. And I feel like that's something that was unnecessary for the movie. But I loved the part when Meryl Streep goes in and it's known that she doesn't like this girl. And that they forced her to do it and had that kind of control over her career and whether or not she moves ahead. So that was my favorite part, because I was like, oh, how I wish that that was true. If that's true, I am so much more in love with the entertainment industry than before. I don't know if that's true, really. So I don't think that's even something anybody would ever say publicly, really, unless she went through some serious stuff where it came out that she was, so horrible. It wasn't something anybody wanted to be associated with. And that's hard to do, really, because I'll tell you, when P. Diddy gets out of prison, there's gonna be a lot of people backing him up. He's not gonna get as much of the audience back, but he'll still have some amount of support there, especially seeing how this whole Republican thing is going and how some of the laws for women's rights are changing, and voted to change in that direction against women and women's rights. That it's likely, he'll just continue doing whatever he's doing. Anyway, that aside, I don't know if that's something that's actual, so to speak, in her career and versus her in the fashion industry. I feel like that's not like the same reason they have 50 Cent in the Combat movie, because when I was looking it up, the last big kickboxer movie, like I said, it didn't do very well. I think it made like $100,000 in the box office. They spent so many millions of dollars on this movie, and they're counting really on the streaming and people renting online rather than anything else. But this last movie, I could look it up to tell you who was in the last kickboxer movie. I don't think it's a lot of super famous names, but I think there are some people that maybe you might recognize if you're a fan, like I am. Let me see here. And I'm going through it. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Is Retaliation in 2018. And I think there was one after that too, actually. I was working somewhere after that, like 2018, 19, 20, until about 2023. So in that time, there were some kids who were really into martial arts, and they were looking at the newspaper and super excited that the kickboxer movie was going to be at the theater down the way. And so they were going to go watch it. They put the newspaper down, and then I got excited. So I went to go look at the times on the paper. So funny, because this was like, I don't know if it was 2018 or like 2020 something, but when you think it was a time where like people were not buying newspapers anymore, but they still had them delivered to the place where I worked, and they would be on the table for people to read. So because it's like the only place ever at that time anywhere that I could find a newspaper, but you could still look up the movie times in the paper. That's going to be a memory for life. The last time I ever looked up a movie in the newspaper was the last kickboxer movie. But anyway, oh, I got some people. Adrian Moron, hello. You work for me? I don't know what that means. You're a big movie fan guy? Cool. Do you watch the kickboxer movies? Oh, I see. Anyway, look, it's supposed to be really good, but it didn't make a lot of money. And so the next movie coming along is going to have 50 Cent, right? And so they probably learned that that's necessary, which is sort of the whole point that Devil Wears Prada is making with the usage of this famous superstar in their fashion show. They don't necessarily need her, but they want to make a bigger to-do than most other runway shows. I just feel like it's a thing that's unnecessary because it's not something anybody would ever do. But I think the next runway thing or show or celebration that they were doing in that movie at the end there was to celebrate that they are staying in business. And so it makes sense. So my obsession with these kickboxing movies, yeah, I watched all of them straight through. It took, I don't know, it was a couple days, or maybe it took me a couple weeks because I had some other stuff to do. But I watched all of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I think 7. So it was a lot, and I love all those guys. Van Damme's fantastic. Sasha's cool, who was in most of them, and then the new guy. But they kind of, in the beginning, have this very specific sense of humor, if you'll watch them. And thank you. So if you'll notice, they have a way of talking, and it's all based on the script, really. You can't really say that it's the acting, but then again, you can at the same time. But the humor is really, based on the script, and it's very specific to those movies. I don't think I saw any other movies around that time that had the same thing happening. And somewhere along the lines, I think they decided to get more higher skilled fighters, maybe, and that are dedicated to acting. So not that the others weren't, like obviously Van Damme was, but then I think at that point, Van Damme also took the sort of fight choreography or some sort of collaboration with the production companies for, the look of the movie and the fighting, etc. And so you can tell the difference after he took that position, where the movies look a little bit more like Quest than the previous kickboxing movies, which had plots. They were traveling, they were going all over the place. A lot of the scenes took place outside. And in the later ones, like 4, 5, 6, 7, it's all vengeance for the Sloan brothers that have died in the past, and it all takes place in the ring, obviously in another country, but aside from America. But yeah, so what are you saying here? Jet Li or Jackie Chan? That's a tough one. I'm too stuck on Bruce Lee. I can't really choose. I like Jet Li a lot, but I've been watching Jackie Chan since I was a kid, and I think my dad owned the first couple movies that he ever made. So I grew up with Jackie Chan as a teenager. Like when he was a teenager, I thought he was a teenager when I was like 10 years old, and then I realized he's a much older man. But I like all the guys, really. Yeah. So this guy is a big fan of the kickboxing movies. Awesome. Yeah. So also, because of my fandom for Van Damme, I turned into the Cyborg movies. And I was kind of interested in figuring out if that was an idea that was stolen from Terminator movies, or vice versa. I think Terminator, the first one, was made first, and then they did Cyborg movies. But then T2 came out after the first Cyborg movie. But I'll tell you what I think about this. This has probably been said before, but if you don't know, here's the information. It's not a copy. It's a similar story, similar idea. The Cyborg is just like the Terminator. But I think that it's past and future, where the Terminator movies are based on present time and the future coming back to them to tell them what they need to do, whereas Cyborg is in the future when it starts, when the Terminators take over, but they call them Cyborgs because it's a different franchise. Yeah, anyway, just so like if you're watching it, you're gonna have that thought, this is just like Terminator. It is, but it's the future of it. And then when they did the later Terminator movies, that was supposed to also be in the future. I didn't watch those. I'm a huge T2 fan because I really liked Eddie Furlong, and I was really disappointed that they didn't just deal with him and put him in it and try to figure out how to make that work. I was so upset because you could talk all the crap you want to about him and his acting or whatever, but he's the guy. And so that's how I felt. I didn't want to watch him. I wasn't crazy about the TV show either. I am a big fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger. All that. What's the name of that Hollywood, that burger place they opened? I think it's gone out of business. It was Hollywood, something Hollywood. Anyway, you know, all the action superstars own this thing, and I've been there before. Jackie Chan made PG-13 movies, and Jet Li made R-rated movies. Yeah, okay, I can see that. I don't know, do you want to talk about AI? I don't think AI is going to cut it for me. I really like to know what it would look like if it was real people. I like special effects. I think it takes away from the work that's done by people in the art of movie making, filmmaking. But it's sort of a different art. You can think about it like that. It just takes some time and some effort from a person. You know, but it's kind of like, if it's gonna be, it should just be kind of like cartoons or anime. It's, you know, where it's all that way, which I think they're coming out with soon, is a completely AI made film. And people have said that it's actually not very good. They're not there yet. I don't think they're ready to be making full movies like that yet. Stallone's all right. Yeah, I love Rocky. Rocky's awesome. But today we're reviewing, okay? So yeah, those are the two movies I wanted to review. The Kickboxer movies, I went all the way through them. The sense of humor faded because they decided to make it a little bit more serious. But the plot is the same. So the guy in the end is sort of like brother to the guy in the second and third movie, and fourth, 2 through 4. He supposedly died, but he didn't continue on into the next one because they got an Asian guy. And when they got the Asian guy, they had to explain why that was. And supposedly he was best friends with Sloane. He died, got killed. So now this guy is being attacked. And so they changed characters. But then in the film after that, they cut the Asian guy and got somebody who's supposedly Sloane's brother. So it's this storyline. Like, you can't just watch one. You can. Go ahead. You can just watch one. But you kind of have to watch it from the beginning. You have to watch the first one all the way through to the end, because it's a storyline. They follow each other. It's about the next one's about the last one. The next one's about the last one. And I love that about that movie. I love it. I love it. The only other movies that are like that aren't like trilogies, you know, like The Godfather or Rocky, Rocky, I guess, is something like that. But like in The Godfather, it's about a family, and it's a whole thing about what they're going through, and they take you into the past and how they got there. And so it's a much bigger thing. But with fighting movies, we're just sort of interested in the fighting, but when it connects, it gives it a little bit more, I don't know, something. So you stick to it and you figure out who everybody is, but it's kind of like digging through and trying to figure it out. So I had seen a couple of them before, but not in order. This time I watched it in order, and it made much more sense to me, and I was a big fan. But so some of the interesting stuff I wanted to tell you about, I'm not sure I want to tell these stories. I have a web series that I started. I haven't posted much on it recently, but telling my stories about my life and stuff. And I do have a connection to kickboxer, but I will say I met a few of the people, the actors, and I don't know, I want to tell all of the stories really, but it's kind of an interesting thing. So I think that maybe I will, and hopefully they don't kill me for it. And I never did anything with anybody to try and get a job out of it. I think I didn't even really care who they were. But I will. I want you to stay connected, subscribe, and if you have any interest in knowing my connection to the kickboxer, or the people in it, stories are coming up soon, and you'll get a full half-hour to an hour explanation of how we met and how that whole thing happened. Do I like horror movies? Action movies? That's sort of what this is about. I watch all of the movies. I think horror is not my favorite genre necessarily, but I do have a preference for horror movies from the 80s, like the classics, the Burt, like Hitchcock, and Poltergeist, Halloween, the classics, some of the other stuff, like Chucky was fun, but it's not really my thing. I watched The Blob, I was like, this is ridiculous, and so I'm not going to do a lot of horror movie reviews. I only watch them in October, but today I watched The Devil Wears Prada. A couple of weeks ago, I had this total obsession, and now I'll announce it here because we're live. I have just become an executive producer for a documentary film that's going to be on Amazon, Tubi, etc. For 2027. It's not done filming yet, but it's going to be coming up next year, and I'm on there. We're going to do a series, and I think I'll appear in the series as well. I won't be appearing in the film, but I'll appear in the series. But yes, I've taken on a role as executive producer. So I'm moving on from web series to documentaries, which is interesting. My brother also produced documentaries when he was younger. And so I got a little bit of, some in there to let me know what it's kind of like. But that's going to be part of my job over the next 8 months or so. And hopefully you guys will watch that. It's going to be called Optimal Living or Beyond Optimal Living. And you can watch some of the other documentaries that the company has made by Don Boyer. You look up Don Boyer on Amazon Prime or Tubi. A lot of interesting documentaries about success, health, lifestyle, etc. So I'm coming into the next one. Yeah, so that's exciting. Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason. It scares me. I like to think I'm friendly with most. I think I've seen the Jason movies maybe once or twice and cut off on them because they weren't as interesting to me, I guess, but I had the mask in my garage and it freaked me out every time I went in there at night. And I don't know why it was there. I think it was somebody else's and they just left it in my garage. But yeah, I like those two. What's going on next? More movie reviews. I just do reviews here. If you connect to my app on Roku, it's currently called XML Productions Presents. In the next couple of weeks, maybe next month or two, I'm going to have shows added onto that app, and it's going to be free, so you can watch it anytime. But it's all going to be dance related. Everything that I do is dance related, and except for these movie reviews. But I think you can tie Devil Wears Prada into dance, their whole. That is the great thing about it. You should go see it. You look like an action film horror movie guy. Okay, so if you like these other kinds of movies, how do I relate it to dance is always the question. They had an interesting portion of the movie, and you'll get there sort of. I don't think I'm giving anything away, but they made a little comment about dance costume, performance costume wear, synthetic fabrics is what they call it, and they did a little joke about it, and I love that. I mean, fashion designers and versus dance wear designers, completely different things. So I think when you go to a concert, whether it be Sam Smith or Beyonce or Janet Jackson, you get different types of costumes. But like if you saw This Is It, some of them can be really extraordinary, and they need a lot of work to be able to stay on you and hold up for a year of your dancing. You see a lot of the guys like Chris Brown, they're just wearing loose clothing. They're not doing that fancy, jeweled up stuff, which is very interesting. Chris Brown is different than Michael Jackson in a lot of ways, actually. I don't compare them at all. I think it's too, Chris Brown is 100% R&B. He can rap, he can do some other stuff, but he's 100% R&B, and very proud to be. Michael Jackson was pop, he was rock and roll, he took it all on, even R&B, and so he's a super legend for those reasons, for many reasons. That's a different show. Anyway, as far as the fashion and dance or concert related, and how they added a music artist, a musician, into the film and talked crap about performance wear and then put her in it and tried to fit her in a fashion, like a high fashion outfit for the purpose. It's very interesting. kind of like saying, I don't know what they're trying to say, actually. If you could give me your thoughts. If you watch the movie, give me your thoughts. If you think that's something that has something to do with each other. Because I don't think that fashion designers are involved at all in the performance gear wear of popular artists or any artists. I don't think it's actually possible. It's possible, but it's a different art. They use different fabrics. You just have to know a lot of different other stuff. And, I don't think they can do each other's job necessarily. Maybe the dancewear designers can do the other, but I don't think it's the opposite. Personally, that's what I think, but don't kill me for it. I don't design clothes. But there was the reference, is what I'm saying, that fashion, they sort of acknowledge that fashion is an art and that it's in part of entertainment. Regardless of whether or not they wear it on stage, the artists are part of the fashion industry, obviously, but that the fashion industry is one of its own, doesn't need them. It might even be the other way around because they have to wear something off the stage that isn't dancewear, I think, that they can buy in their own style. They don't have to. You could go around wearing dancewear. You can, but it's really flamboyant, I think, is what they were trying to say, that to be covered in jewels all the time. There's only one person that really does that. That's like Mariah Carey. And then even Mariah Carey wears jeans sometimes. So let's see, what's this guy saying? Do you remember watching The Jungle Book? Yes, so you're talking about the movie with the same guy. I think his name is Jason from the Bruce Lee movie. Yes, I remember The Jungle Book, yes. The cartoon and the live one. Animated animals? It's cute. It's for kids. Don't knock it. We gotta let, give the kids something to watch. And a lot of times, if it's real people, there's some costume issues that we may not want kids to actually be looking at. So, that's my review of The Devil Wears Prada. I don't think that part was necessary. I don't think it makes sense. And if you think about it, like sex scenes, that's really just a matter of opinion. So a lot of people like that artist. I'm not one of them. You can subscribe and continue to watch that series. It's called Believe It or Not, because I'm going to tell you in the next episode, we'll get to the kickboxer one, but I'm going to tell you in the next episode my issues with that particular artist. And if you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to tell you who it is because I don't think they're announcing it. My other issue with that, though, is that she got first billing. So before they even showed the credits, it said guest appearance by. It's the first thing that showed up, which means she got paid a lot of money or she paid for that to be there first. Because I think usually that comes at the end of the credits. They're doing everything different now, though. The industry is constantly changing. It's hard to keep up with sometimes, but we are trying. So anyway, Adrienne Moran. I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. You can follow me on Instagram if you want me to see your face, but I gotta go. So thank you so much for watching. If you watch later, comment me. Let me know your thoughts. Go see the movies. Watch The Kickboxer from the first one on to the end and support the movie because if they don't make a lot of money in the theaters, you may not see another one in the theaters, and it will have to be with some superstar that's got nothing to do with it, just for the purpose of making money. And if you're like me, you're not really cool with that kind of thing, and you really just want it to be what it always has been about. So yeah, pick up your remotes, click on that app, and find your favorite movies. But these are good ones. Trust me, I promise you. As far as the cyborg movies, though, before I end this, they're a little wag, you know, but they're old. At the time, they were cool. I'll tell you that much. And they go on because there's only 3, but then there's like 100 other cyborg movies that are side to it. Like, what else could be? The RoboCop is also a cyborg movie, but it's not associated with that particular trilogy. So watch the 3, get into the others, support those kinds of movies, action films, because the only ones I have seen recently are like Mission Impossible. They're making Tom Cruise famous, which is fine. I have no problem with Tom Cruise. You know, he's a good guy, but where I don't know if you're like me, you miss the hot action heroes that come in and save the day with their real skills. It's really only been used in things like 007 and big like Mission Impossible, or sort of, you know, out of reach plots. Like, those things aren't really gonna happen. They probably don't really happen. But I liked the Kickboxer movie because it was a little bit something like what we've heard of in the past, what Bruce Lee went through, I think is kind of what it's based on. Those real sort of culture clashes that cause people to have to go in and battle it out for real, for somebody to take notice that something's up or something's got to change. And the thing about the Kickboxer, which you may or may not disagree, I was going to end the show, but what you may or may not disagree is kind of like the racial barriers, you know. It's a white guy, they're always white guys, fighting in this Asian culture and being the best of the best. But really it's more about avenging the death of their family members rather than being the best of the best, because who can really say? And a lot of times the bigger guys that they are fighting are not Asian. Like, I think the last one that's available to watch, the big guy was just another white guy, and he was humongous. So it's, you know, if you are not opposed to that and you don't hate the idea, watch it. Even if you do hate the idea, watch it, see how you feel, comment about it, you know. But yeah, that's the review, guys. I'll see you later. Next review, I think I will not do it on a live. It's just that I just had the announcement to make, and then I just saw that movie right now. So, bye-bye.